Hi everyone. So today we're going to talk about the benefits of risky play. So there are different types of risky play, and we're going to talk about what those benefits are, We're also going to talk about why we should implement risky play into our programs, whether it be at school, even just in our own family lives, or in our early childhood education programs. Then we're going to talk about whether there are cons to risky play, and then whether or not the benefits of risky play outweigh those cons. And then lastly, we're just going to discuss how we can implement risky play into our programs. So types of risky play, there's climbing. So that could be climbing trees, that could be climbing logs, that could be climbing ladders, that could be climbing stairs, any of those kind of variations of climbing. There's also going fast. So this might be having races or obstacle courses. It could also involve being on one of those large swings. And the kids love to just spin themselves around and then they let go and see how fast they can go. Another example would be using tools. So that could be hammers, it could be knives. They could be learning how to whittle wood depending on their age and their developmental skills. It could also involve being near risky elements. So that might be fire. So maybe you're going to have a campfire with the kids that are in your program. Or maybe you're going to build a fire and you're going to teach them those different skills. Or maybe it's going to involve being near water. That could also be a risky element. It could also include rough and tumble play. So those types of things might be when kids like to play with the sticks and they turn them into swords, or they could play bad guys and good guys, those types of games. Another example would be disappearing games, so like hide and seek. Those can also be considered a risky play. And there are a lot of other examples as well, but these are the ones that we're going to kind of cover today. So the first thing we're going to discuss is why should we implement risky play? So there obviously has to be benefits in order for someone to implement a new way of doing things in their programs. So we know if we work with children or we have children, we know that children are driven by curiosity. They love to explore and have adventures, and risky play just really allows them to be able to do that. And when children are able to explore and just go on these little adventures and do different things like this, they start to ask questions and they can make their own discoveries. So they might ask or notice, oh, that tree branch was that's not very strong. I probably shouldn't do that because if I put all my weight on this, it breaks. And they start to remember those things, and it just goes so much better for the child if they can put those into action rather than just always having rules spewed at them. And so this also is beneficial though because it helps them develop different skills. So their social skills are developed as they play with different kids as well as with adults. Their communication skills, so they're questioning, asking those things. Those are all great communication skills. And it also really helps in their physical development. They're running, they're jumping, they're climbing. Those are all great gross motor skills that are very beneficial for all age groups to be enjoying and to be exploring. And so as children, as they continue to explore and they have these opportunities to learn, then they start to know their own limits, and it allows them as they go out into life in other ways when adults aren't there, they know how to stay safe. And that is just, that alone is very beneficial. Another benefit is if you've ever watched The Nature of Things on the CBC, there was an episode that stated that children who experience risky play, they develop a sense of self-confidence, resilience, executive functioning abilities, and even risk management skills. So we kind of touched on that a little bit in the previous slide. It's also they have a great sense of accomplishment. So something that they might have been afraid to do, maybe they were afraid of heights, or maybe they were afraid of going fast, or maybe they were, whatever it might be, they have a sense of accomplishment when they actually overcome those fears. And giving them the risky play just gives them those opportunities. It can also develop their empathy. So as they're playing, kids are going to be afraid of different things. That's the whole point of risky play. And maybe they're going to have peers that just don't want to do those activities. And so they're going to be able to have empathy and understanding of those kids, but they also can be great encouragers of each other, which is very beneficial too. So, are there cons to risky play? Obviously, there are cons to everything, and some people are going to find more cons than necessary. And as educators or as parents, it is our responsibility to make sure that what they're doing is safe. So when you're going to go set up a risky play, such as the picture on this slide, you're going to want to make sure that there aren't nails in the pieces of wood. So if they do fall, they're not getting any of that kind of stuff and end up with an infection or something. And so you want to pay attention to those type of things, but you still want to be able to just make sure though that they can still have the freedom to do things. So obviously we need to observe, and there is risk, and there is the risk of injury. But as we see, I think the benefits outweigh those cons. So, as I stated, do the benefits outweigh the cons? I think so. My research and understanding of children, risky play, it's just way too beneficial for children and their development to not implement it. The life skills, their developmental skills, it's all so, so important. And as children, as they grow up, they're going to have to make choices in life, and we're not always going to be there for them. There's just not always going to be adults there, and they're going to become adults themselves one day. And so they need to be able to evaluate the situation and observe and make those clear decisions. And so risky play, honestly, starting that as early in life as possible just really helps to define those skills that they're going to need for the rest of their lives. So how do we implement risky play? Well, educators and parents need to make sure to remove, obviously, the hazardous items, as I stated before, and you have to take into consideration their ages. So obviously, like an infant, the climbing might be pillows, okay? Toddlers, you're going to start to gradually increase their abilities as they get older. So you do need to have an understanding of that, and that's what you're just going to want to make sure that you have all those resources and that you're able to do that. So once you've implemented the risky play, you do want to make sure you're still there for guidance, okay? You're still discussing danger, you're still asking questions, and those are all great things. But you definitely want to make sure though that you're still just observing. You're not in there, you're not like hovering over them and stuff like that. You want to give them the freedom in order to get all the benefits of risky play. So in conclusion, there is this statement that states, or there's a quote from Ronald Dahl. He states, "The more risks you allow children to take, the better they learn to take care of themselves. If you never let them take any risks, then I believe they become very prone to injury. Boys should be allowed to climb tall trees and walk along the tops of high walls and dive into the sea from high rocks. The same with girls. I like the type of child who takes risks, better by far than anyone who never does so." And I think that basically sums up the benefits of risky play quite well. So I hope that you will implement risky play if you've been considering it, or just continue to extend on it if you already have it in your program. Thank you so much for letting me just do this presentation for you.